All right, good morning. It is late. Not late, but late enough. It is a little after 7. I have been going for a little bit this morning, so this wasn't the first thing I do. A lot of times I'll just jump right into a video, first thing right off the bat. I did not do that this morning, although I did get up later than normal, later bedtime. So I ended up last night I went to see my brother-in-law's house. He bought a new house, and so I went to see it. I hadn't seen it, and he's been doing work on it, so I went by there to see it. And he lives about an hour away at the new house. So yeah, so ended up going there and getting home at 12:30 at night. So a little bit later than I wanted, but still, I don't see him much, so it's good to get over there. Anyways, so yeah, so yesterday was a pretty good day. I think short, kind of odd. I did a video midday, and so now this is a quick turn on these videos. But yeah, just kind of an odd day where scheduling really didn't happen much, and I didn't get a ton of work done. But I did. I did get to read for a good hour, if not more, which is great because I'm finishing up this. I'm finishing up Exponential Organizations, which is a great book, for business. And I like to balance kind of like business with personal growth books, right? So um, sometimes I'll read just personal growth, but other times I'll read, like I'm reading Exponential Organizations, and I'm reading, either the Master Key System or the Kabbalion, or right now I'm reading Now I Am Myself the World. It's a book on consciousness. And so I kind of get through that. I don't read it as fast because I don't spend as much time. I probably spend 20 minutes reading something like that, maybe 30. Even though sometimes I find that more engaging, some of the business books. But the business books are very entertaining for me, and very enlightening and educational, so it's great. So again, I get to take all these notes and get all this stuff done. So yeah, so I got to read quite a bit. I sent out a lot of emails, did a lot of planning for the business yesterday, as far as just events and things like that are coming up. And again, just realizing how much marketing I need to do to implement and learn and understand. And yeah, watch that Grant Cardone video. Not really sure what to think about the guy. Obviously, there's a lot of negative comments about him, but honestly, I don't think I feel like people that just have negative to say, that don't know him personally, are just haters at that point. Honestly, people tend to not like other people that are successful, and they kind of oh, BS, this person only does this or that, the other thing. Well, they're doing something well if they're worth hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, whatever he's worth. I don't know what he's worth. Anyways, um, so yeah, so yesterday was kind of an interesting day. Like I said, I did that sort of stuff, and then ended up cooking dinner that'll last me like 3 days. So I just like fresh garden vegetables like scallions, jalapenos, tomatoes, um, peppers, and then some organic chicken. Kind of just mix it all together with some broccoli, and just let it simmer in a just let it simmer. I didn't really saute the vegetables first; just threw it all in and let all those things just kind of soak together. Slow cooked it, so that took a good hour to do that, to cut everything up and to get it all prepped and ready to go, and then cook it. I'm not the fastest cook in the world, but I don't mind cooking when I have the chance. So did that stuff, and then really just headed over to my brother-in-law's at that point. So it's kind of a like I said, interesting shorter day. I didn't even work out yesterday, and so yeah, I've definitely got to get that in today. But I had 3 times at MMA last week, and I worked out 3 times. So I kind of doubled down on one of the days. So I did a workout and MMA. So I got a decent amount of activity last week in. But I always like to kind of keep at the forefront of my mind, just to, hey, work out, hey, go to MMA, work out, MMA, work out, MMA, just constantly do it. And I find that going in the evening I enjoy it better. Some people like going first thing in the morning. Um, I like the first thing in the morning for creativity, just getting that, getting those kind of juices flowing, focus, things like that. I used to work out in the morning. I don't mind working out in the morning. I just find it's better for me to be creative in the morning. And then at night, I do like at night because it really wakes me up, gives me, like I'm done with, I'll be done with MMA and back home before 8:30. And then, by the time I take a shower, I've got a couple hours left, but it kind of recenters me and focuses me for the rest of the evening for those couple hours, so I can make them, valuable and productive. So yeah, let me just check this video, make sure it's rolling still. Yep, still going. One of these days I'll get a real camera and I won't have the distraction of having to walk around the stupid thing every time. I want to make sure that it's still rolling. So yeah, but yeah, it was an interesting, nice house. My brother-in-law's a nice house. He's got a few properties in Attleboro and Fall River. So he's got multis and singles, and so yeah, this one was a single, nice, and then but yeah, it was a good conversation. Uh, my wife's Dominican, and so obviously he's Dominican. His significant other, he's not married, but his significant other's Dominican, so she cooked some good Dominican food, some plantains and different things. So that was pretty good. Anyways, and I normally don't eat late, but obviously they cooked, so I was gonna eat. So that and a beer, and it was good. I don't really go much past a beer. I think I had a beer and a half last night. Sometimes I have a half a beer. I'm pretty lame at this point. But yeah. Anyways, so it's good. And one of the things kind of a little bit of frustration that came up last night was I had one of my team members in Boston, and we were very slow early in the day, so I shut off bookings. There was no reason to have bookings, so there was a 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. that I shut off, and the 7 p.m. But there was an 8 o'clock booking and a 9 o'clock booking, and we were technically open until midnight. And so she showed up at 7:30, and I told her that we were going to potentially, I was getting calls for potential walk-ins at 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock and possibly even 11. And so I got a call at 10:15. Hey, we're at the door. And so I look at the security cameras on my phone. So let me call you back in a couple minutes. So I look at the security cameras and all the lights are off. So this team member had decided it was, a 2.5 hour shift, and she was free for Friday, to take off and leave. And so because of that, I was pretty pissed. I was frustrated. I was annoyed. And so, who wouldn't be? I mean, at that point in time, I'm losing $500 because she, basically there was a 10 between different groups. There was at least 10 people for walk-ins, and so that's $500 on a Friday night. And so, who wouldn't be frustrated? And so I called her. She texted me, "Oh, I have left," and I was like, "Well, no shit. I can clearly see you've left." So, anyways. Frustration, but I called her and I was like, hey, you can't do this. You're there for Friday night, and if you don't want the shift, then don't take it. I'll find somebody else that will work. You worked for 2.5 hours on a Friday all day. I don't know what else you did for the rest of the day, but you don't have another job and you didn't work. And so I said, you can't, and she said, well, I assumed that, because there was no bookings, I was just going to shut off the bookings. And I said, you can't assume, you have to communicate. You have to communicate with me so that so that I can make that judgment call. If you had communicated with me, I would have said, no, we've gotten 4 calls, coming in from people expressing interest to come in and walk in. But you didn't communicate, you assumed, and so because of that, the business now lost out, and you did not hold up your end of the bargain as a team member. And so I said, you can't do that. So and I was basically like, look, it's Friday night. We'll follow this conversation up tomorrow, which is today. If I have her come in, I will talk with her further about that, and kind of, hammer that communication point home. But I hung up the phone, and my brother-in-law and his significant other, and then they had someone else there. They were all like, "Oh, you're a really nice boss," blah 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 blah. And I was like, And I was like, well, I don't see the point. I've grown. I probably would have flipped out 5 years ago or 10 years ago. But I've grown, and I've realized that if you want people on your team, if you want people to engage with you at a correct level, and be there to get your back, you have to understand how they need to be spoken to and with. You have to have a dialogue. You know what I mean. I can't. It's not even speaking to them. It's having that dialogue. When she said, "Oh, I assumed," I take what she says, and I was like, okay, well, you can't just assume, and it's communication. And the point is that she needs to be on my side. If I'm seen as the boss, as the adversary, but on her end, because I'm a jerk, because I'm yelling at her, that gets nobody anywhere. That doesn't solve any problems, and none of us are gonna be better off for it. So the point being is, I was kind of surprised that they said that, and I was kind of good. It just happened that, yeah, I lost $500. It sucks. Really sucks. It's like that would have paid for her. That would have paid for her salary for several days. So it sucks. It's like, but at the same time, I have to say, let's move forward. You can't do that. And again, she's done that. Other teammates have done that, or team members have done that in the past. And it is frustrating, and it's a hard balance, because sometimes you get walk-ins, sometimes you don't. So you have people hang out, and you do nothing with it, or do you just and hope for the best. So it is a balancing act, but at the same time, there has to be communication in any business or any relationship. You know what I mean? And a business is a relationship. If you have employees, you're in a relationship with those people, and you better understand how to communicate properly, and how to get your point across so that they have your back. Because if they don't have your back, they become an obstacle at that point. They literally become that obstacle as to why you now have a harder time moving things forward, especially when you're a small business, right? But even when you're a bigger business and you've got dozens or hundreds, or I don't know, thousands of employees, if you're not communicating properly and everybody sees you as an adversary, that's going to become an obstacle, very very quickly. So check one more time, make sure this is rolling. All right, we are going. So all right, so this went a little bit longer than I expected. We're at like 12, 13 minutes. So I did have a list here. I said I was going to start working on talking about all my injuries, because I want to document them. And there's my list, and some notes below it. But yeah, I was going to start with my head today, but I don't think I'm going to get into it. But I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that I thought of off the top of my head. Anyways, yeah, I mean, they range from, I'm going to get into it, but I didn't expect to get into this, my thing, what happened last night. But this kind of ranges from everything from concussions, multiple concussions, to plastic surgery over this eye, to my chin being split open, nose broken, C4 broken, all these different things. And so anyways, but I'll get into that in another video. This is my back of my notebook, or back of my envelope writing. I'll get into that next time, because I don't want to go too far into this. I don't want this to be a 20-minute video thing, I don't think. Anyways, so what I do want to talk about is, and again, this kind of follows into what the conversation last night. Don't let your past successes or past patterns lull you into sleeper complacency. You have to show up every day with a fresh perspective, and the past wins, or how you did things in the past, might not work that same every single time in that same day. So that's why you have to show up and be present. And the best way to do that is to get in the habit of planning your day, and then reflecting on your day at the end of the day. Not just reflecting on the day, what you got done or what you didn't get done, which is something that I started with, but I realized it's also about, when you have situations like I did last night, how do you handle them in the moment? How do you, how do you deal with those things? And on a side note, like I called one of the groups back. I called all of them back, but only one answered. So the other ones had already gone off to other things, right? But I called one guy that answered. He had actually been there before, and I told him, I said, hey, next time you come in, next time you're ready to come in, let me know. I know you're with 4 people now, however many people with next time, and I'll give you a 25% discount. I said, and he's like, wow, really? He was like, okay, thank you. And um, and I was like, yeah, no worries. And he asked for my name. I said, my name is William. And he said, okay, great, thank you so much. I said, no problem at all. I apologize for any inconvenience, that we might have caused you because we didn't have proper staffing there. And he was like, no, I'm grateful for it, and hopefully you have staffing, better staffing. I said, yeah, unfortunately, it's just really slow, and it's we have to be selective on who we hire. Anyways, even the people I was with, they were like, oh, you could have done 15% or 10%. And I said, no. I said, I like to offer return people that return and that bring it up that they've been there before. I like to offer them a good, a healthy discount. And, 25% for me is my way of saying, I apologize that you showed up and we weren't prepared for you. We weren't there and ready for you. So anyways, so that's the thing. It's like, don't rely on past successes or past wins. Show up every day with a new perspective. Reflect on the day. What could you have handled better? How could you have done something different or better to get a better outcome? Because that's the whole point. It's like, you want to constantly have better outcomes every single day, and you want to do, as Keith Cunningham says, you want to do things less stupid. Every day, if you do things less stupid, which means showing up and paying attention, you'll be so much further ahead. So I got a very short window today to get things done, and I intend to get things done because I have an accountability call, and then I have to go into Boston today, as well. And one of my teammates is going to teach me about Instagram. So until tomorrow, hopefully you were already up and crushing it and having a much earlier start, and you are going to have a fantastic day today. Until tomorrow, see you. Peace out.